So for our demonstration here, I have disassembled a factory OEM thermostat. Now, from the factory, the thermostat is assembled in this manner, and many of you have seen this. And so it goes together like this. If you look down in this line, this is the bypass hose connection, of course, and you can always see the bypass disc. This is the connection that goes up to the water pump, and this is our lower radiator hose connection. So now I've removed the spring from the thermostat here because it allows me to actuate the thermostat without any resistance, so I can show it opening and closing easier, right? So the key thing to understand about the way the factory thermostat works, and the reason that we have problems with them so much, is this bypass disc is on a spring, and the idea is that it mostly keeps the flow restricted, and there are some holes in it, and it allows a little bit flow past the thermostat while the engine's cold. And you can see down in the housing there's no seal, so it doesn't really seal against the housing. It just sort of sits there. And the idea, if you look in the Rave manual, is once the engine starts and is running, the pump flow creates some pressure, and it pushes against this thermostat. The thermostat's cold. It's closed, of course. So through the radiator side, there's no flow because it's not open yet. And so all the flow is supposed to be coming through this disc, and it gets the little bulb warm from the little holes in it, of course. And the the pump flow pushes this disc, and it's supposed to open it up and allow it to flow more. The problem that happens over time, a couple things that happen. For whatever reason, this disc doesn't seal, and so when the thermostat opens, when the thermostat opens, the engine is warm. This disc is supposed to seal against the inside of the housing. But for whatever reason, over time, the disc doesn't seal well anymore, and what we get is a lot of fluid that bypasses the radiator because it comes through the bypass side and it goes into the water pump side, and so it's never been cooled, and so we lose cooling capacity. The other problem is, as your engine revs up, let's say you're on the highway 70 miles an hour or whatever, you've got a lot of flow. There's a lot of pressure from the pump, and so that pressure pushes on the spring and opens the bypass disc a little bit. And so what we get is, again, we get fluid bypassing the radiator, and it never goes through the radiator, and so we don't get the cooling we want. And then, of course, we get the standard, the common problem, which is the bulb. For whatever reason, the bulb just doesn't work anymore. The wax inside the thermostat element doesn't work. But I wanted to show, because with the inline thermostat, we're not dealing with a bypass disc. There's no bypass disc get jammed. There's no spring to open the bypass disc up. It either all goes to the radiator or it doesn't.